I had this determination in my mind, no, I want to do something, like pursue something else because I want to put myself in a different situation. I gave CAT, and luckily enough, I got a good score and I was called for the interview. Parental pressure, we have to, society stuff, we have to get married within this age. Still, I tried my best. I didn't go for coaching classes per se, I did preparation on my own during the weekends whenever I had time post job. Microsoft has always been a dream company for me.
What's the toughest question that you had so far? Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of IIM K Baad. And today is our first episode of 2025. It's probably not the first episode you'll see in 2025 because we've still got a December episodes coming up. I'm glad to have Naafiah Sadique on our show. And Naafiah, as an introduction, Naafiah graduated from IIM Kozhikode in 2021, so nearly 4 years ago. She's had a 4 year career in what I call the new economy. So she's worked for a bit. She will talk about it. I don't want to steal the thunder, but I will hand over to Nafia to start with. Nafia, tell us where you grew up, which state, which part of the world, and how you grew up. What was your family like? What was and why you decided to go to IIM one step at a time.
Hi everyone. Thanks Vikas and Manish for this opportunity. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Nafia. I hail from Kerala, from the city of Trivandrum. You might have heard of this, the richest temple in the world, which is the Padmanabha Swami Temple, which is that is where I'm actually from. I did my BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering, post which I worked for almost 3 years in a engineering role, both in the backend and front-end development teams. It was in the fintech sector. Post then, I decided to do my MBA and hence joined IIM Kozhikode. It was 2019-2021 batch. And post MBA, moved into product management. Uh, right now, okay, first I started my journey as a PM with a startup in the corporate travel management sector, then moved on to Delhivery, which was in the logistics sector, and then shifted on to Microsoft, where I'm currently working as a product manager too in the Azure. So that's pretty much about my professional journey so far.
Thank you, Nafia. And I'll tell you why I especially underlined the new age economy, the tech based economy, which I currently work in. But every time someone says I'm a product manager, I dial back to 20 years ago when I started my career after I am as a product manager in my first role in marketing. And the product manager of those days was very different. We used to get TV ads and jingles and newspaper and hoarding ads and things like that. Think about the packaging of the products that were being sold in typical FMCG style. But I believe today's product manager does something similar but very different on a day-to-day basis from what we used to do, and we are going to come on to that. But first I wanted to double click. You said Padmanabha Swami temple in Thiruvananthapuram, is that right?
Yes, that's
Do
correct.
you say Trivandrum or Thiruvananthapuram?
Okay, Trivandrum is a very shortened name, makes it easier for people who are outside Kerala, but Thiruvananthapuram is the actual one.
But what do you call it when you are talking to friends, family? What do you say?
Okay. To be honest, while we type the forms, it's easy to put Trivandrum rather than type the longer one. So I just got used to Trivandrum, but at times, just for the fun stuff, I used to say it's Thiruvananthapuram. So people sometimes want to pronounce and understand, like actually get that name right. So it's just for the fun stuff. Otherwise, it's always Trivandrum to make it quick and short.
Yes, yes, it's a bit of a tongue twister, definitely for me. So
Yeah,
and you said Padmanabha Swami. I don't know. I didn't know. Is that the richest temple in the world? I thought it must be Tirupati.
you should Google it.
Mm.
Recently
Okay.
things have changed. Like few years back we had some explorations and discoveries, and
Hmm.
hence this came to the limelight, and it became more famous. More people coming started coming to Trivandrum just to visit the temple and get into the holiness of stuff.
Hmm. So it has become richer. Is so this temple is more like Elon Musk, who's just crossed Bezos. Is that right?
Yeah, you can say it. And the mystery part is we don't know how much treasure it actually holds. There are like unexplored, what do I say, this unexplored doors within the temple which people fear opening due to
Hmm.
some myths and stuff. There are stories about it. So that's how it is.
And the treasures are is that like physical treasures like gold and silver and things like that, or are these more the ancient scriptures? Because those are nowadays valued really highly also.
To be honest, it's more confidential. There are no photos or anything on the internet on it, but it's actually said that there are gold treasures within the temple, like underneath basement, there are tunnels and stuff. So a lot of mystery around it. People
Wow.
fear due to certain stories and maybe could be historic stuff. People fear opening those doors and figuring out how much gold or treasure it actually has.
Wow, wow. We need some. If we were making a Bollywood movie, there would be some eerie sound, background music out here, right now. Yes, some mystery theme. Yes. So you grew up, you were born, brought up, schooling, college, everything in Trivandrum. Is that
I
right?
was actually born in Nagarkoil, which is like part of Tamil Nadu. Then, when I was like 1 year old, moved to Trivandrum, and then I was just brought up in Trivandrum. So we just
Mm.
moved to Trivandrum and got settled. My family is currently settled in Trivandrum.
Right, right. And I'm guessing, I won't ask you your age, but I'm guessing you're like a mid 90s kid.
Right, that's right.
And
You got it
and
right.
yes, and which makes you, are you Gen Alpha then? Is that the current definition? Are you Gen Alpha, or
Gen
are you Gen
Alpha,
or Gen Z?
not really. The millennials.
Are you millennials? No, millennials. Okay, okay. Those definitions I need to yeah, refresh myself. But you're definitely.
That's
It
also
seems you're
considered
probably
more
Gen Z and not millennial to me. Uh,
Gen Z.
but whatever that and nomenclature being, how was life in Trivandrum growing up in the 90s and early noughties? Like, were you good academically? Did you do a lot of sports in school? What were you doing?
I was an academic person, not at all a sports or an active person, too much into academics. Like that was the main thing for me. So at some point, it was more like I was into maths, then it just changed. It was more of excelling in academics. That's what I was focusing on, more on exams, like some competitive exams we used to have in college. Sorry, in school, something like a state level exams, national level exams. So I used to always participate on those exams and try to excel as much as possible and have won a couple of medals in the state level for it. So more of an academic person rather than an active sports person.
Wow.
So
So
I
you
was
were
never
like
into
typically
sports.
a school topper getting all these medals and distinctions.
Right. Yeah. More of such a person.
Right. All the people that, the neighborhood aunties and your other friends' moms say कि नाफिया की तरह बनो देखो वो कितना पढ़ती है.
Yeah, I actually recall one of my not so close friend, but yeah, one of my friends' mother saying this. Like when mothers meet each other, they talk about these stuff, and they were like, "Yeah, she's really good at academics. She is actually always there on the stage to receive these medals and stuff." So that's the first time I realized, okay, that's a good thing to be. So yeah, that was how I used to be like topper in certain subjects and all. Yeah.
So I'm now drawing the line, and here is my, without even asking you further. You said you did engineering. You're a topper. Obviously, topper means science लेना है. Science लेना है. कहाँ जाओगे? Engineering करोगे. Was it how it panned out, or were there other reasons?
Uh, Actually, while I was in school, I wanted to be a doctor. I mean, if you ask me why, I really didn't have an answer back then, but I was so much into like, I want to be a doctor. That's what maybe you could even call it a societal pressure. Back then it was just two things, right? Parents were like, either become an engineer or a doctor. And I have seen my cousins and people, everyone is either an engineer or a doctor. So I was more into like doctor. Being a doctor is much more competitive. So I somehow, it was just on my mind, let me, I want to be a doctor. And hence I took science stream for after my 10th, like plus one plus two were science. Like biology, maths was what I opted for. I wanted to have maths in it because I wanted a second option. Like, if not doctor, what would I go for? So that's why it was bio maths. And then during those years, yeah, explored a lot of things, not just academics, friends, other stuff, and all. And yeah, I also had my own share of fun. And then I couldn't crack the exams. Like, we had state level exams for entrance exams for MBBS as well as engineering. I couldn't crack it. Like, it was a decent rank, but then I had two options. Like, I could join for engineering soon after my 12th, or I could repeat 1 year and then go for MBBS, like hoping that I would make it in that 1 year, like spend an additional year, go for some courses, like take some coaching classes and go for MBBS. That was the option. I actually did not want to spend 1 year just preparing for something. I was like, I just want to. That was one of the reasons why I chose engineering. I was good at maths while in school. So I was like, okay, I'm good at maths and physics and stuff, so I can actually make it. And then I wasn't keen on spending 1 year just for focusing on these competitive exams. And hence, I gave up the dream of becoming a doctor and leaned more towards engineering. So that's how I opted for BTech.
And did you have a choice of engineering, and why did you take the field that you did within engineering?
Again, that is also, I would say, a very cliche answer. At that time, uh, at that period of time when I was giving the entrance exams, electronics and communication was one of the top sought after course. So again, that became my first option to go for. So to be honest, it wasn't my own passion. I just went with the flow and what the competition decides and stuff.
So I probably graduated around 20 odd years before you, and uh, and I obviously did my 12th typically 20 odd years before you. I have to say that seems like India hasn't changed too much, because that is exactly how in the early 90s I chose my field. Is, let's see the cutoff, whichever is the highest cutoff, because I had the marks, problem of plenty. Let's choose that. I, to be honest, I had no clue what I wanted to do in life, so I just took whatever was the highest cutoff because I had the marks, and it looks like that is one way to choose, because some people tell me, and like my kids, they think they know what they will do in life when they are 10 and 12 years old. I think by the time they are 20, they will be more confused than they are right now. What do they want to do in life? And I didn't know. I was like, let's take it. So coming back, so how was your engineering? And I'm guessing that was not too far from home. That was within the state.
Yeah, I was a day scholar. Like, it was in Trivandrum itself. LBS Institute of Technology for Women is where I joined for BTech and ECE. Again, it's because of ECE I went to this college. Had I took some other stream, I would have ended up in another government college or so. So again, ended up in a so I studied in a girls' school. Like, All Angels Convent was where I did my 12 years of schooling. Then again, a women's college, and yeah, 4 years, had made new friends, had my own share of fun. And since it was a women's college, like everything starting from the union level, wherever authoritative, I mean, the authoritative positions were actually held by women, like us itself. So that was indeed a good learning or experience for me. So that yeah, that's how my BTech years were.
Amazing. I've never heard of a women's engineering college, to be honest. And every time someone says engineer, the picture in my mind is कि क्लास होगी 50 की, उसमें से 45 लड़के होंगे, 5 लड़कियां होंगी engineering में. So I don't know. You've seen people around now in your IIM and all that. People who come from the NITs and the IITs and all that. Isn't that the typical male female ratio even now? Maybe it's improved.
I guess it has improved. I mean, it's not like 40/20, I believe, but then it varies. Even in IIM Kozhikode, there were certain years where the women ratio was higher than the men. Like we had like more than 50% women kind of a scenario. So I believe it's kind of improving. And since, yeah, I studied in a women only college, it was a very different experience for me.
No, I think IIM, you're absolutely right. IIMs are very close to 50-50 on average. In fact, we come to know because we are from IMB, and uh, the latest batch, which was selected about 6 months ago, was the first time that for the MBA, IMB is like at a 50-50. And this is when you're looking at a batch of 600, that means 300 women in a batch of 600. That is a huge amount, number of girls. But I've always thought that engineering was a bit, still a bit skewed. But I'm glad to hear. So how were how was your engineering, and how did you decide that I want to do IIM?
Okay. So again, engineering was more of exploring stuff since I have kept my options open always. So I wasn't like, it's just always one. So during the engineering days, I was keen on getting a job. So that was something, placements were something we were keenly looking forward to. Like we had our preparations going on, which was again supported by the college itself. They had their own, they did conduct certain classes, gave us some sort of a coaching to groom us for the placement season. So I did get a couple of offers during the placement, and parallelly during those days I was actually preparing for gate. I was more keen on doing a post graduation like MTech kind of, and MBA was not really my first option back then. So since we had these peer community, so there were certain people who were more keen towards MBA rather than going for an MTech or a job. So we used to interact, and they were the ones who actually gave me this idea of MBA could even be an option. So I had this in mind, but I wasn't so keen about it. I was more keen about first priority being job, then maybe an MTech, and MBA was just due to peer pressure, you do things right. So that's how I gave my CAT for the first time during the engineering year. So the final year of engineering, I gave CAT, and luckily enough, I got a good score and I was called for the interview. So that's how things turned out.
But did you, Nafia, did you have people in your family or close friends who had done an MBA?
Uh, okay, if you are talking about the engineering days, in my family, no, I really didn't have any mentor sort of, or someone who actually inspired me to do this. But most of my cousins were into engineering and then post that jobs, but different fields, not ECs.
But no MBAs in your immediate circles that ways.
At that point there weren't, so I wasn't really influenced by people about MPA or people who have done in my MPA, so no one like that. But my friends, some of them were so much into MPA, they actually want to get into business stuff rather than anything post engineering. So that's how those sort of discussions happen during our lunch hours and whenever we get free time. And I started getting, okay, these are the things which I could also explore at some point, but it was always in the back of the mind, never my first priority. When I actually cracked, so as I mentioned, I was always into giving competitive exams. I like doing that, so that's how I gave an attempt on CAT. And without, so I was quite surprised because without much preparation I could crack, like get a good score in the first attempt, and I got that interview call from IIM Kozhikode. Back then I wasn't really sure of how things work. I didn't really, I know what IIM is, but then I was not so keen about getting into an IIM. But then I got the interview call, I gave the interview, but that didn't turn out well. But I wasn't unhappy about it. So I got an exposure to IIM through that first attempt where it surprisingly got me an interview.
So you got an
And
interview without preparing at all in CAT.
That's true. I
Wow.
prepared for my placement, but never forget.
So how did you do? As in, did you must have known what the paper is about, and from friends at least, you would have seen some
It,
papers.
to be honest, I have never practiced for CAT at that time. It was actually the final year of engineering, 2015-16 kind of time. Uh, so if you look at the CAT paper, like the CAT exam pattern, question pattern, it's more of aptitude, verbal ability, and stuff. I've prepared for some of it for my placement stuff because for all placements, the first round that we need to clear is this. Almost similar. It has this aptitude test, then the verbal ability, etc. So that preparation, if I frankly say, that preparation actually helped me for the CAT. So it was like it just happened. Gave the interview, but then I haven't prepared much. I wasn't prepared for that kind of a scenario. So the interview did not go well. But that gave me the thought, why shouldn't I go for this? So that's what actually triggered me to have MBA as one of my options going forward. So the interview didn't go well, so I decided to take the job. So back then I had like 3 to 4 offers in hand. That also, yeah, luckily that happened. So I had the option to choose from those 3, 4 offers, and I finally chose Investnet, where I started my first professional career.
And this was right after engineering. It was a campus placement from engineering. So do you have companies even in your engineering college? You had companies coming over like a day one and day two placements, or was it more sporadic in terms of kabhi bhi aa jayenge?
We had no, we had like day zero. I think IBM was the first company which came to the campus. Back then, they had a women only drive. Like that's why they focused on our college. They wanted to come to our college. The first they started the placement with our college, and I was able to crack that. So I got the first offer. Then a couple of others came in, which was okay, Infosys came in, then we had Ericsson. So Ericsson was our core company. So IBM and Infosys, since those placements happened before, I could actually sit through the placements, and I got converted and got the offers in hand. Then Ericsson was my core company, like EC electronics based. So that was the other one that again got converted. And so post that, that's all. I thought the placement season got over. Then Investnet gave me an opportunity. Like they also, I cleared the test for Investnet and again sat through the interviews and got that also converted. So I had like 4 offers in hand, one EC, and the rest 3 was IT based. So since CAT did not work out with GATE, I could actually get into a government college in Kerala itself, but then I didn't want to do that. So I was of more of a mindset that it's okay. I did my graduation in a college in Kerala. Now I wanted to do, if I'm doing a post graduation, it should be something like a premier institute sort of. So that was the back of the mind thought. So I was like, first let me try the job, because at the end, even after whatever I do, I want to work. I want to actually start my professional journey. So I was so keen on the job part. Maybe I'll do my post graduation later. So Gate and Cat, everything took a backstand, and I was just spending few months, maybe the initial 1 or 2 months, just analyzing which offer should I take, which company should I join. So just reaching out to my seniors, asking them how's their experience. Should I go for my core company, which is Ericsson, versus should I go for based on package, which package is higher, or based on, is it based in Trivandrum, is it in some other city, which should I go for? So that was the next dilemma.
How,
And
how
finally,
different are the packages? What was the typical package range in your engineering placements?
it used to be like 3 point something range, which is
Okay,
almost same as today. I think even today Infosys provides almost like 3+ lakhs package for a first fresh graduate. So it was
right,
the same range.
right. So,
Ericsson
and
was
both InvestNet and Ericsson were broadly in that range.
a little, no, no, a little, Ericsson offered a little higher.
Hmm,
IBM also same, almost same or little bit higher than Infosys. Envestnet had the highest package
hmm.
compared to all three. It was one of the highest.
So I've heard the
So
name. I've not I've heard too much about InvestNet, but I think it's in fintech, right?
Yes. So it's
Okay,
a investment management platform. So
right.
that's what it provides.
But it's a tech provider. It doesn't hold monies like a bank. Is that
No,
right?
no,
It
it's a
services.
tech platform for the custodian banks.
Got it. Got it. So tell me. So obviously you chose InvestNet, which was the
Yeah.
highest package. Did you choose it because of the package, or
Okay, couple of reasons. One was package. Second, I spoke to my seniors who worked on all these companies, and they had a good like they mentioned that the culture in InvestNet was really good. So that was the second reason, and like culture plus work is pretty good. You get to learn and stuff. And like I'm just talking about like relatively to other companies. And the third reason was it was in my same home city, and hence I had a like I wanted to do post graduation, so definitely I had to start my preparation at some point. So if I was in my home city itself, maybe it would give me time to think about the next part rather than relocating between cities and stuff. So that might take more bandwidth, and I won't be able to focus on what I wanted to do next after spending some time in the job. So those were the reasons.
what was the job and how long did you work there?
I stayed with InvestNet for almost 3 years. So initially, I worked as a Java developer. So it was a backend team. Again, building this tech platform for the custodian banks and others and financial advisors to do investment management. So that was the core capability of the platform provided by InvestNet. Then I moved to another team within InvestNet, which was on the front end side. So I worked on React later. So that's when it was a more like a new platform built from scratch for the end user sort of. So it was a financial planning platform. And that's when I got more intrigued by the user journey. So working on the backend, yes, you do build a lot of functionalities and core capabilities, but when I moved into the front end team, it actually I got more interested. So that particular project was more interesting in terms of I could actually look at what the user wants to do, what are we trying to solve for. So that was one of the key learning, which also intrigued me into product management.
Right, right. I'm very interested, Nafia. So, for an InvestNet, what is the? Can you explain to me what is the user and what were you trying to develop for that user? Who was the user for InvestNet at that time?
There were two sort of products that I worked on. The initial product was, let's say, a custodian bank like JP Morgan. They want to manage, so they might have multiple financial advisors within them who will be using a platform to manage the investments of the end users. So our initial platform was not for the end users, it was used by financial advisors and these employees of the custodian banks who is doing these stuff on behalf of the end user. So that was one platform, more of daily trading. We do the recalculation, like show the new balances versus what was before those changes. So all those things were actually facilitated by the platform. Second product which I was talking about was a financial planning. Let's say you have a retirement goal and retirement goal, or something like you want to do a general savings goal, like in 5 years you want to buy a home. Now we'll help you with the tool helps you with actually figuring out how much should you save each year to reach that goal. So that's sort of a tool which helps the end users. Here you can the end user is someone like a high net worth individual or a financial advisor, again doing on behalf of these individuals. So that was more of a customer facing plan.
So that would be something like if Wix wants to plan for his own thing, he would be using that tool or that you developed. Is that right? If he is doing it?
Yeah, so yeah, correct. Maybe you can plan an education goal for your children. So if you want to save so much, like save for your child's college fund, how much should you save every month or every year to reach that goal in 5 or 10 years? So that sort of a platform, which yeah, you or Vikas could also use.
But don't you think something like that? I make it at home. I don't use any tool. I just have my Excel sheet that I've been using for 25 years, and it works pretty much. All of it works.
Come to the point there. So it was not for the end user like me or you. It was more of a high network individual.
I know a lot of people who basically plan for roughly, yeah, who earn a million every year or half a million every year or have net worth of 10, 20, 50 million. A lot of those people also just do it on Excel and they seem to do well. And I know today we have AI and all those things, but we are talking about like 5 or 6 years ago, right? This is before transformators and generative AI.
Can you put my screen up on the stage? Is this this was the company you were working for, Nafia?
Right, right.
Okay,
This is it.
okay. And so, which was your product? PMC, Yodlee, Tamarack, Money Guide, I think.
No, no. These are actually Yodlee and Tamrak were acquired later. So InvestNet have its own proprietary platform. If you can scroll up,
Okay,
we can actually take a. So it talks about wealth management platform, right? So that was one key thing.
wow.
Uh, yeah. So these are the asset managers, financial professionals. These are the user segments,
Okay,
institutions. Okay. The product, what we do. Okay, so here you have the financial planning. Yeah, I think now they have diversified a lot, like with micro planning, retirement distribution. These were lifetime planning, the financial planning section itself.
oh,
So that was the initial product.
okay.
Yeah,
And
it used to be called as, yes,
is
it used to be called as client portal. I think now they have revamped and rebranded it with a lot more functionalities.
okay, okay. And is this a public company?
Yes, yes,
It's listed
I
in the
believe
US.
so. Yes.
Very nice, very nice. And how is it doing? Like, is it like is this company doing well in the US public markets? Is it like how big is it?
Uh, Okay, it's actually an established one, but to be honest, from the marketing, like branding side, they don't really do a lot of marketing stuff, and hence people are not really aware of this name. They will be like, okay, what is InvestNet sort of? But back then, like five, six, not five, six, when it started, like maybe 10 years back, all these big custodian banks like JP Morgan and Chase and everyone else were using this. Like they might have their own platform today, but they were leveraging InvestNet's tech platform to do all these wealth management stuff.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And do you mind sharing with us like what was your salary at investment once you graduated from your engineering school?
It was 4 plus,
Okay,
like
wow, wow,
4.5.
wow,
Yeah, 5 lakhs.
very,
Around 4.5 lakhs was the package.
very impressive. And
Yeah.
I usually like to go look at our leadership. When I click on our leadership, I see
Mhm.
I don't see the top management being from India.
That's right. So, yeah. So back then when I was working, InvestNet had in India, they had office only in Trivandrum. So largely out of US, all those the development team was in India, like based out of Trivandrum alone. Then I think now they have acquired Yodlee, they have offices in Bangalore as well. So they have diversified their portfolio a lot.
So that seems to me like a US company with probably US clients and getting a back office in India, cheap labor. Now with Vic's new government in the US, uh, even that is going to move from Trivandrum to somewhere in the US, um, because then it'll make America great again. All the coders will be there.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's all Trivandrum. It's the development team actually. All the PMs and the business people were actually based out of US itself. They do have some of the development folks there, but mostly it was just in Trivandrum and it was development centric.
So Nafia, that to me that's a interesting question. So when you talk to your seniors about this company versus the others, many of those others that you were evaluating versus uh, also did business in India, I would assume, like Ericsson and IBM. Would you have joined the roles you were looking at? Would you have joined the business which was servicing US, or would you have joined the Indian businesses for those companies?
Okay. Now that I recollect, one of the key reasons I went for InvestNet was it's a product company rather than a service company. So the others like Infosys, IBM, they were actually offering positions in the service-oriented departments. So actually working in a product company did give me a lot of learnings personally. So that was also a key reason why actually I chose InvestNet over the other ones. Yeah. Back to your question. You were asking about the yeah.
Yes. And how the culture, you said your seniors told you that the culture is better. Was it like a very American culture, or did you have a culture shock after coming? This is the first job you're doing.
It was more of an American culture, so we did not. I'm not sure what is the culture in the other companies at that point of time. So there were nothing like a sir superior kind of a situation. Even the VPs of the companies were addressed by their names. So that kind of a so InvestNet actually introduced that culture, which I could take forward to any place I have joined, and there was no distinction between like we could talk to VPs if they have some time to spare. Like we were working in the same floor at least, so we could say hi byes sort of stuff, and that sort of a culture like an open culture where you could actually meet people was a good thing about InvestNet. So that actually helped going forward joining other companies because I could take it forward rather than I'm not sure if it is still there, but certain people tend to call sirs and treat superiors with a different thing rather than compared to their peers. So that wasn't there in.
So Nafia, one of the things I'm interested in is to know, like, you join a job with a package of around 5L, 4 to 5L at investment, and you work there for 3 years or so. Then you go to IIM Kozhikode. But once you graduate from IIM Kozhikode, what was your package like? What value did IIM Kozhikode add?
From IIM Kozhikode, the package increased to actually I got the offer with Cognizant, again a PPO with Cognizant in a business development analyst role, and the package was around 12ish. Yeah.
Okay, so you more than doubled. You nearly tripled, 2.5 times your package, which is great, I think. Yeah. But I think coming back to the main question, Nafia, you were working, you were having a good culture, you were enjoying your job, you were developing in a product company. Then why did you go to IIM? Didn't you have other product and tech oriented career thoughts at that time? Why did you have to come into management?
Yeah, okay. I'll go. So the first year, we had actually a bond. Like if we need to stay with InvestNet for like 2 years. If you're leaving before that, we had to actually pay back. So we had a bond in the contract. So with that in mind, I was keen on staying with InvestNet for 2 years. And one key reason was wanted to learn. Like I was coming from a different background. I wasn't into coding at that point. In the initial days, like 2 months, we were given training in Java to get familiarized because most of us were coming from different backgrounds. Some people from mechanical, civil, etc. So we were given training, then we started on-job training, and then full-fledged projects were assigned. So initial 2 years, I was actually well prepared and with the mindset that okay, I am open to learn stuff, to learn coding, to see how software development is actually suiting me. Am I finding some passion about it? Again, more than the backend development, actually I enjoyed the front end development. As I said, more of user experience sort of thing where I get to actually understand what the user does and what are we trying to solve for rather than on the backend side. So that's the reason why when I was given an opportunity to switch teams, I opted for it. And say again, I did have so we joined InvestNet as a batch. Like there were like around I guess like 20 plus people. So each one wanting to pursue different things in their career. Some people actually got really passionate about coding, and certain people were too much into, they want to go for post graduation, maybe MBA within India, outside India. So again, those sort of conversations started happening. What do we want to do? So I had this peer community where we started discussing about MBA and stuff once in a while. So first year, I didn't explore other options. Then I started thinking about the second year at Investment. I started thinking about, should I go for MTech or MBA? I started thinking about, okay, these were the things I kept in mind when I graduated from LBS. Now, what should I do? Job, this or that. I wasn't really passionate about coding, so that wasn't something which made me stay. Like I didn't have a thought that okay, I want to do coding for the rest of my life. So that wasn't there. So I was thinking about the second option. Should I go for MTech? Should I go for MBA? Or what should I do next? Should I even switch jobs? So MTech wasn't an option anymore. I got into coding, and coding was good enough. It's interesting, so I didn't want to go back to electronics and communication again. So I just removed that option of MTech from my list. And now the other option was MBA. Again, 1 year. I think that was the time when I got the opportunity to move to this team, in the front end team, the client portal team, where we had a couple of calls with the product managers in US. So that's the first touch point where I got to hear about, okay, what does a product manager do? Yes, what is it? So then I started exploring. Okay, if MBA, why MBA? Why should I go for it? Again, user journey. I was like, okay, let me explore business stuff. I want to understand more things about it. Talking just about user is not good enough. I want to understand business to say what is good enough for the business user. What are we doing for the business? Why should we do it? So it started with that, and then I was keen on the fact that okay, I want to do a master's. This is not the field. Software development is not what I'm passionate about, and I don't see myself being in that field for the next maybe for the next long years. So again, MBA came back. MBA was my then my only option. I was like, let me give it a try. So the third year at InvestNet, I started preparing. I didn't go for coaching classes per se. I did preparation on my own during the weekends whenever I had time post job, and that's when I actually started preparing for CAT, which I never did during my engineering days. So tried all the mock test. It was all practice, practice, practice. Give more tests, correct yourself, understand what you are lacking, and it actually worked. So that year I gave the CAT exam, and yeah, cracked it finally.
So practice helps. Practice works. Is that what? If you were talking to uh, whether your friends, family, or any of the viewers of our channel, and give them just your top three tips, what should they do? They have not cleared the CAT in the first attempt. Maybe next year or maybe 3 years later, like you, they want to give it again. Top three tips from you.
Yes. So the more you practice, the more you get better. Second, not just practice, evaluate. Evaluate at what you have done good, what you have done wrong. And next time, ensure that if you have done 50% wrong, next time ensure that 10% has reduced. You should get that 10% correct the next time. So evaluate once you, I mean, any test you give, evaluate yourself. Evaluation is very key, that self evaluation. And third, be um, like I would, I don't know if discipline is the right word. Like I spent, like I was so sure that every week I spent so much hours on this particular thing. So I was so determined. Stick to your plan is what I would call it.
And when you say stick to the plan, why would someone deviate from the plan? Why would you hesitate that maybe you were deviating? What are the typical stumbling blocks that you saw?
When you have a job, you do so there is no necessity for you to go for another option. You are, as I said, the job was pretty good, you're getting pretty well, I mean paid pretty well, you have a good balance, work life balance, everything is going good. Now there's no necessity for me to actually jump. But then I had this determination in my mind, no, I want to do something, like pursue something else, because I want to put myself in a different situation, not stay comfortable always, put myself in a situation I'm very new to. That will actually give me a lot of learning, and that actually did what happened in IIM K was. So those were the things which actually motivated me. Like I need to do something with my life, not just be comfortable or within the comfort zone, stay as I am. So that's how I started pursuing for MBA.
Nafia, those are three excellent points, and I'll just repeat it because I think they are so important, and uh, they just get you to the hub of the whole uh, point. Is practice a lot, do a lot. Everyone knows that actually. So it's actually saying the same thing again, but it is the most important thing. You can't take the shortcut ever. Sometimes you might get lucky in life. That works for everything. Number two, and I think this is especially important for cat. It was important in the 90s when we gave it. It is important today, and it will be important for most of the competitive exams, uh, even 20 years later, in my opinion. Which is, you need a feedback loop. Is check what you got wrong, and then make sure you make less mistakes, like you said. And the third one I'm most intrigued and curious about, and I want to understand a bit more, is you were doing a job, and it's very easy to say, I'm getting 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, whatever. That is a reasonably comfortable way of life in a, I would say, Trivandrum. Would you call it a mid-sized town in India?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
You probably need double that in Mumbai, I have to tell you, today, but or in Delhi to some extent, Gurgaon, Gurugram, Bangalore, possibly a bit higher, maybe not as much as Mumbai. Uh, but Trivandrum, you're getting 5 lakhs. Why go for 12, 15, all those things? Being determined. I really love that how you put that because it's very easy, and I do it all the time. And this doesn't end when you get into IIM. This goes on for your entire life. Is I'm comfortable. Why should I achieve the next level? So tell me one thing about it. What are the one or two or three reasons why you might not have given the cat again? You said it. You were reasonably comfortable. What other things did you feel that on certain days, on bad days, let's call them bad days now that you've done the cat and the IAM, uh, if you were to tell your younger sibling or a younger friend or someone who's preparing and viewing our channel, give us an example on a day that I had this and I decided that I shouldn't prepare for cat, but then next day I caught myself. Did you have any such days?
Hmm, I might have had those days, definitely. Uh, Again, to be honest, I don't recollect a lot, but then yes, there were days which I felt like, why am I doing this? Like this, like let's say I gave a mock text and the scores were low, and I was like, okay, why am I doing this? Why should I put so much effort? Then I'm like, I need to prove to myself. So it was more like I need to prove that I can do it. I shouldn't give up. So that was the thing. Even during the bad days, it's okay. Today I have done this. Maybe tomorrow is my lucky day, so never give up, or even if you feel low, pause, take some rest, try it again. So that was the mantra which actually worked for me.
Now, if you, I have to say that this is easier said than done. I tell myself this every day, but telling myself is easy. Actually, doing it is very difficult. How are you able to convince? Have you, like, in your growing up years, was that second nature to you, or was this like the first time or one of the first few times where you convince yourself that I have to take the hard path?
Actually, this was the first time, like, MBA was completely my own choice. Like, as I said, engineering, I had an option of doctor versus engineering. Then I used to take my parents, family's help to figure out, okay, what should I go with it and stuff. But MBA was solely my own choice, the first time in life to say that, yes, I need to do this. So that was also one reason why I have to do this, because I decided something for myself and I have to prove that I can, and I can achieve it. And that was one of the motivation which actually pushed me forward whenever those bad days happen.
Who did you want to prove it to? Is it to yourself? Is it to your family?
It was more to myself because the first decision solely taken without external help. So I wanted to make sure that I achieve it.
Because I
So
have this one, and I'll make this the one last question of the IIM K pehle, because we have to move to IIM K Baad.
yeah.
Is Was there any parental resistance or family resistance for you doing, like, you've got a job? I mean, come on, keep doing it. Why are you like wanting to risk these things? Did you have any resistance like that?
Not really. Actually, my parents were supportive of me, like of my choices in life, as well as when it comes to academics. They were like full on, like do whatever you want. They just want me to excel in academics, sort of like the usual Indian parents sort of mindset. And my mother was actually keen on me getting a job, so she was also motivating. Like she's a homemaker, so she actually wanted her daughter to have that professional journey which she couldn't have, so she was motivating me there. Father was also helpful, but when it came to MBA, my mother was more inclined to a safer bet, like something like MTech, because she wanted me to pursue some teaching field, get into that kind of a lifestyle rather than the corporate life. And my father didn't really, advise me to choose between anything. He was supportive. He was actually 100% into me getting into an IIM. He was this proud father who would actually brag about his daughter getting into an IIM. Like she could make it. So he was that kind of a person. So he gave me like full support. If that's what I want to go for, then that's it. Then my mother was, she was also supportive enough. It's just that she had a different view about life.
Very nice, and I'm glad. So now we move on to the IIM part of this journey. Uh, and I know I've visited your campus. I've seen a lot of pictures when it was coming up 20 years ago. Uh, I feel it's the most beautiful IIM campus. However, just bear in mind that we studied at IIM Bangalore, which at the time was the most beautiful campus, and then Kozhikode beat it. And there are these up and coming new development IIM campuses that are coming in the next, which have already started, and they've done the first phase and second phase. I bet some of them are going to even beat Kozhikode. But at this time, tell us about your most beautiful campus and your campus life.
Before I start there, actually, I have been to IIM Bangalore. I have given the interviews. That was my dream campus, to be honest. But then it didn't work out. Still, no regrets about it. IIM K was really indeed a beautiful journey, a resort like life. Like, yes, the videos and pictures that you have seen actually doesn't really match the expectation, match the reality. Once you go there, it's actually a, yeah, just like we call Kerala goats on country, it was like, so the campus was really great.
Exactly. You live for 2 years on a resort for like literally just academic fees. And that to subsidize academic fees, I have to point that out.
Yeah, actually, it's like a different world inside that campus. I know it's in Kozhikode, but we don't even know. It's like its own place, its own stuff. Like, coming from Kerala, I know the nature and stuff. We do have the greenery in Kerala everywhere, but still, the experience of staying there and the life over there was indeed remarkable and a different one. Like, I could still say I can't get that kind of an experience anywhere else. So that was how IMK, that's how I still remember IMK is.
You said subsidized, but I don't think fees are subsidized anymore at IIM Kozhikode. At least when Naafiah.
I
Not
think they are.
really.
I think they are. They are, and the larger IIMs, the fees are only, you might say, 5-10% subsidized, and the smaller IIMs, the newer IIMs, the baby IIMs, they're like 60%, 80% subsidized. But every flagship MBA fees in I I'll actually stick my neck out and say every flagship MBA fee in the world is subsidized, including a Harvard, including a London Business School, including an INSEAD and a Stanford. And the reason is these are flagship programs. And when you say subsidized, it doesn't mean that they are at half rates. It's just that they are just a gross margin break even, but they are, they're not subsidized. They are not subsidized on a gross margin level, but they are subsidized on an EBITDA and net profit level.
So, but who is subsidizing it? I don't think the government is giving.
The university, because as so I'll tell you about global MBAs, and it's the same thing. For now, the larger IIMs is you make sure that your core MBA program earns you just enough that you don't lose money on that, and then you use that reputation to earn money from all the exec courses and all that. And this is your Harvard model, this is your global MBA model, which now at least the top IIMs are able to replicate. The Bangalore, Ahmedabad, XYZ are able to replicate in different degrees of success. They, so subsidy, maybe I use the subsidy part, and just not to digress too much into this topic, is they are gross margin positive for the big IIMs now. But if you take into account the entire campus overheads and all that, you will and do the cost allocation in the way that we learned. uh, yeah, you'll find that the main MBA program doesn't earn a profit for the IIMs or for any institute, including Harvard. That's a fact. Anyways, coming back, Nafia. So you're in this most beautiful campus, which is coming from you, living in God's own country, as you mentioned, which is you've got nature and beauty all around you. Or rather, I mean, even in Trivandrum, but definitely like 10 miles outside Trivandrum, it starts a bit more. Uh, and you still term your IM campus as beautiful. So we'll take that as a stamp coming from, because for me, a Delhi boy, and for Vix, a Kolkata boy, I mean, if we visited, we'll obviously find it beautiful. But you in from the vicinity, that is the biggest stamp of approval. How was your? How big was your batch size?
It was 400 plus.
400 per year, or 400 plus 200 plus 200.
400, 425, like less than 450. That was our batch size, 2019 batch. Total,
So
PGP total.
900 odd students on campus, first year, second year MBA.
What
Yes.
I
Wow.
find most interesting is that Kozhikode has risen up this ranking the fastest. Like, you know, Ahmedabad, Bangalore were there even at our times, 27 years ago when we were back on campus. Ahmedabad, Bangalore was still at number one and two. But Kozhikode used to come below Calcutta, Lucknow, and even Indore. Kozhikode used to come below Calcutta, Lucknow, Indore. So from to beat all these three and go up, that's very impressive for me.
Yeah, it was always amazing to read about these newses. Like even after graduating, it's really great to hear about the in campus.
Yeah. So 900, 900 odd people, 800 to 900 people in that campus. Did you get time to study, or were most people making YouTube videos and watching nature and meditating and things like that?
It's too huge a campus that we won't even know that there are these many people staying in there. So that was how it is, like top of hill. The view we have is this vast hill, the greenery and stuff, very away from the city life. So like it's on like actually a place where you could actually meditate. Going for a walk in the campus was itself like meditating. Yeah, so it was a great ambience. Like first year when I joined, coming from a professional journey, yes, I did have the initial inertia of being in a comfortable environment. So that inertia was there in the first 1 month because very hectic schedule. Along with that, the placements prep starts up. Then we do have some other, programs coming up with the seniors catching up. So a lot of things. The entire day was just packed up. So we just get some hardly 15-30 minutes to pause and look at this nature and get the ambience in. So that's how. So within that ambience, doing this hectic, a very hectic life was going on. Yeah, so that's how it was for me. Initial few months, we were just running, prepping and running for all these summer placements. So we joined, I think we joined in June, October, we were having these summer placements. So from the first week of joining, we start hearing about placements from the seniors. So in
Now,
between, we
Nafia,
also
just help me. Just help me. So you start in June, and when does the first year end?
March,
So
because
it's a June to March, and then second year again starts in June and goes on till March.
yeah, because after
Okay,
March we have 2 months summer internship. So directly we go for the
right,
summer internship.
right.
Actually,
And
we
and is it a semester or is it? It's trimester, right? So
yeah,
three terms of 3 months each.
yes, yes, that was how it
So
is.
so June to September, then October to December, or September to December, and then Jan to March.
Correct. Yeah.
And you were saying about summer placements. Which month does the summer placement happen? Is it at the start of the second term or end of the first term?
It was in the middle actually. I don't recollect where. It was in October. So the exams got over, the first term exams got over, and then we were just full on heads packed into the placement stuff.
Right, right. And did you have to prepare in the first term?
Yeah, so first time we were actually hustling between these class, which starts from like 9 to 5 class. Then we had exams, tests for that, and post that we used to get these seniors conducting workshops, doing helping us with the CV preparation. So all those things used to happen after 5. I still recollect 12 a.m., 1 a.m. We were just roaming around campus, talking to these seniors. Like the hostels were far away from the academic block. We have to climb, like, I don't even recollect how many steps today. So that itself would take some time for us. But then that's when we could actually just pause from this hectic schedule and just, even during running to our hostels and back, I mean, hostel between hostels and academic block, we could actually just take in the nature. So that was how it used to be.
Yes. And then so June to September you do studies, which I'm assuming is a bit of a culture shock for a lot of people. Uh, because almost no one, very few people might be coming from a previous business background.
Yeah,
Some might have done bachelors in business or something, but for most people, whether engineers or whichever field, no one's done business before.
yeah, we had a very wide mix, like freshers, BBA graduates, even doctors who came for MPA. So we had people from different sorts and different domains with a lot of people with a lot of experience, people CAs who have, I mean, after doing their CAs, they, I mean, completing their CAs, they came for MPA. So people with varied experience, varied perspective. So during these, group discussions which happen in the classes as part of these curriculum, we used to hear a different perspective. Like each one, we are all new to this, but each one has their own different perspective. I was coming from a very technical background, sort of. So these people were, there were people from finance background. There were people from, yes, MBBS. After MBBS, they were coming into it, but they were passionate about finance. So each one had their own reasons to do MBA. So yeah, the culture shock was there, but it was, that actually widens our like our mindset as well. So that was a key experience out of a MPA or an IIM campus. So getting to meet these people, we also start thinking, okay, there are things like this, because we have only a limited exposure. So when you get to mingle with these people with varied exposures, that actually adds a lot of value. So that was one. Second, the hectic schedule, how to manage this first few days. We just stress out, oh my God, I can't do this.
You think MBA is more hectic than engineering?
Good question. It was in a different way. So, engineering, after some point, we get used to it. We were like, yes, we do have this confidence. We have done engineering. Now we can do anything. But MPA brings in a different atmosphere to it. Like, you can't really get comfortable. Every day is like you discover something new. You are put in a uncomfortable environment. You get to strive in it. So, I would say it's very different. MBA versus engineering.
If you have a 4 year MBA, I'm sure people will get used to it after two terms.
Yeah, yeah, after 2 terms, definitely you get comfortable even in this environment. It was just the first term I was referring to. After placements, people were just okay. Placements is done. Now you can just get to know people, just chill around. So that happens from the second term.
Right. But second term, you said that your placements start right when you come after the first term break.
We didn't really have a break per se. We were just, I don't even recollect going home in the first, I think until December. We were just running for, I mean, running towards each and the other goal. Like first it was placements, I mean, exams, placements, then again, academics came into picture. And then we got few days break for, I think, Christmas or something in December. That's when I finally got to go home for a few days. So there was never a break. I mean, you can just chill at your campus, but never a break away from that life.
I mean, people take a break to go to your campus and in the nearabout. So you shouldn't be complaining, Nafia. You should
Yeah,
not
yeah.
be complaining. Yeah, you had 2 years at a resort. So that's how I see it. So don't
But
complain.
I'll
But
correct you
tell me
there in
one
the
thing.
second. Yeah.
Sorry, no, no, go on.
No, no, no. We'll come to the second year later. Let's just talk about the first year.
Yes, yes, but tell me one thing. So you had like 2 terms without a break, and the second term was the summer placements. How does that work? Is that also like typical IM placements with day one, day two, and all that? Do you have to write a lot now? Because we used to have like forms where we had to write our life story and why we want to apply for some of the companies and all that. And I wasn't sure, is that still going on, or are there companies who don't ask for that?
Now it's all virtual, so it's just laptop. We were just running around with the laptop, so everything is virtual. But still, we do need to write all these answers. Like before the placements day happens, which is the day zero. Before, like 1 week or 2 weeks before we start applying, the application forms are long enough. Like starting with basic details, then sometimes it's writing like explaining why do you want to join this company, or why are you passionate being a business analyst with this firm, or there could be even videos that needs to be recorded on introduction of yourself, why do you want to do this and stuff. So I think it was a mix. We used to have application was 50% and the rest 50% was video recordings which we had to do multiple times to get it right. So that's how the initial application process used to be.
Vix, did you know this video recordings for interviews? I mean, we shouldn't be saying because we have a video channel of our own. So, but videos being so important, I'm amazed.
Yeah, and this is a good thing, I think. Video conveys so much more information than I can get from a document. I can get so much more information from a video.
Yes, yes.
This is
So you did all these video recordings in your term break and never went home.
not term break, during the first term academy, along with academics, all these things were also happening. So it wasn't break per se. Multiple, so each company started their application at different points of time. Certain companies started 3 weeks before. They had a very long process, multiple steps. Like before they actually come to campus, they have virtual rounds happening again, which is elimination sort of. So each company had its own processes, but all these things were happening in parallel. So there was nothing like, okay, you do with the academics, then you do your placement stuff. It was never like that. It's all parallel threads, managing these parallel threads.
Right, right. That reminds me, is there an attendance rule at IIMs
Yes,
or at your IIM? Did you
yes,
have
it
an
is still
attendance?
there. Yes, we
And
need to have.
what's the minimum?
Right now, I'm not able to recollect, but you can miss up to like what, 2 or 3 sessions, I
See,
guess.
Nafia, it looks like you probably didn't have a problem because people like me who always had a problem know the exact number to the second decimal. This is what the minimum we need.
Not okay. I ensure that I always reach that limit post. I mean, post that like whenever the term is gonna end, I can be happy enough, and I would be like, okay, it's okay to miss right now because I have enough attendance. So that's how I used to manage. So rather than in the beginning of the term, at the end of the term, I used to ditch classes. So yeah, you're right. I never kept tab of. Right now, I can't really recollect what was the attendance percentage like.
So you had a whirlwind summer placement thing. Where did you get placed?
I got placed in Cognizant.
And was that like day zero, one, two? How
Uh,
does that work in?
Not really. It wasn't day zero. I actually did reach interviews of multiple companies. So even back then, Microsoft was one of my dream companies. Like I wasn't sure between product management and consulting, but with a professional, I mean, experience beforehand, I was into a role which was again focused on an IT, like a tech domain sort of, because I felt that's where I could actually use my pre-MBA experience. So I was more aligned to something like a consulting or a product management in the same similar sector. And back then, we didn't really have a choice. Summer placement is very random. I did apply and get shortlisted for multiple rounds. Certain companies I have reached the interviews as well, but didn't convert. So I did have my own share of struggles in the day zero, day one kind of. Then 2 days, I believe it was 3 days later, that's when cognizant interviews happened. And I think this happened in the night. Somewhere around midnight the interviews were happening.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's round the clock. We don't have a break. So day zero, it started from I believe 5 a.m. We were all grouped into different classrooms. So in the classrooms, they'll announce which company is doing the interview in which place, and in our system, we could see if we were shortlisted for the company or not. They'd also put a big screen where they'll just put the shortlisted candidate's name who are shortlisted for the subsequent rounds as well. We need to keep a tab of it. As soon as they put that okay interview has started, we need to follow our placecom rep and go to the respective blocks. So this just goes 24-hour stuff. Started 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. on day zero. It went on. I never got a proper sleep break, to be honest. Like we used to sleep on the desk in the classroom, just doze off. Then somebody we'll just wake up our friends and say, yeah, your name is there in the shortlist, get ready for the interview, sort of. Then we'll just go to the room just to get changed. So we were just running. And finally, I think, yeah, I had my own share of struggle. Day three, I believe, after day zero, one, two, three. So it was a fourth
That
day.
sounds like completely so full on. I can't even imagine, and definitely not anymore. Maybe back in the day, I would have. Yeah, we didn't have 24 hours, but I do recall we had like 16, 18 hour of placements even 25 years ago. Yeah. So day zero, one, two, three is are the companies who come on day one typically the same companies in summer placement day one are the same companies in final placement day one? Is there or does that change too much?
It does change. As far as I could recollect, for the laterals and finals, it was a different set of companies. I'll come to the reason. We were the COVID transition batch. So yes, so that actually changed a lot of things in the second year. So the first year, we actually got to experience the pre-COVID era, running, this hectic schedule, everything happening offline, companies coming to our campuses, running from each block to other to catch up on the interviews happening on. So the first entire year was the complete offline experience, which still I remember is a remarkable journey.
Yes, yes. So then now that you mention it, so you finished your first year on campus.
Yeah.
You got placed in Cognizant,
Yes.
and then you finished your first year in March. Did you start your Cognizant summer placements? Where did you go there?
So March end, we were supposed to leave our campus for our
Yeah.
internship. Like we'll directly fly to our internship locations.
And this is
March,
March 2020 when the lockdowns
yes,
and everything was starting.
yes. And the COVID break happened, and March mid, we were asked to leave the campuses back to our homes, like
Right.
completely vacate. Things were going
So no
haywire
exams?
outside. No, no,
No
we
exams?
completed the exams before that.
अच्छा अच्छा अरे यार मतलब 15 दिन पहले हो जाता तो कितना अच्छा होता.
Actually, I think half of the exams got over. Then some of them went into a standstill. Like, what do we do? Like, it was exams were kind of okay.
Hmm.
Everyone had booked their tickets to their summer internship locations.
Hmm.
So we were packing things for that, and all of a sudden we get this notice from the college that we are supposed to leave in the next 2 3 days, leave as early as possible.
Hmm.
So that happened. Then we had to fly back to home, and then it became like an uncertain situation. We don't know what is going to happen to us. We are like, imagined a different NPA life, and now we don't know. Everyone was so. What happened at that point was everything came to a standstill, and even companies were not sure how do we pursue this summer internship. Things used to happen offline, so that change happened, because of which our summer internships got delayed by a month. Some of my peers lost their internship, like some of them they canceled their offers. Some of the companies which were adversely affected by the COVID canceled the offers, and all those things happened. So that brought in a different fear to our minds, like what's going to happen. We were supposed to graduate in 2021. Now look at 2022, we're just stuck. Our internships happening. How are we going to do a second year? So all those questions popped up.
Yeah, and I know it's like 4 years later, 5 years later, it's very easy to look back and say that yeah, something happened and we came out of it. But I also recall that when this started in 2020, we were like, okay, what's 2021? Are we ever going to survive? Is the human race going to survive? And there was that sort of mayhem happening that maybe summer placements wasn't the biggest thing on everyone's mind, but maybe it was for someone at your career juncture. So what happened? Which companies cancelled?
Ah, okay. I
Any big
remember.
companies like Microsoft and all that, or did they still go ahead with the
No,
placement?
no. Most of the big companies went ahead with the placements, but it got delayed. So certain companies delayed by a month or more. Like most of the startups canceled the offer. Like I remember one of the company which took back their offers was Udan. So they provided the offers. That was one company I could recollect right now. There were a couple of others as well. Similar stage of their journey. It was like most of the big companies actually went ahead with it. Maybe there were like internship pay cuts and stuff, but then maybe the time period got reduced and they kind of adjusted, but still most of the big companies adjusted very well. Then there was certain uncertainty in terms of they were not sure. So what happened in my case was initially it got delayed by a month. They weren't sure how to do this because from Cognizant, they used to provide their proprietary laptop in which people do their projects. Now they couldn't ship their laptops to my place, and I can't even go to the offices and collect it. So how do I do it? So I have to use my personal computer. So they have to come up with different projects which were different, like projects were assigned to me which were different from what was initially thought of, because I'm using my personal laptop for work stuff. So that was something which happened. And luckily, I mean, the project which I got assigned to, my internship project was interesting because it's the life sciences domain. Again, COVID was creating, I mean, new things were happening in the life sciences. I mean, at that point, because of COVID, the life sciences was the most hyped area because new things happening, drug discovery, and that's where I got to do my secondary research in terms of what's the upcoming roadmap of for technology looks like. So yeah.
Very good and very good timing in that sense. But at that time, Nafia, didn't you think I could have been a doctor, medic, because you were like literally wanting to do medicine?
Not really. I never got a thought that I could have, like, initial few years I had, but then I never wanted to go back. Whatever path I have taken, I have no regrets about it. I'm happy where I am today. So, I mean, that's how all the journey had given me a lot of learnings and also helped me personally develop. So I'm happy where I am. And at that point, the life sciences area excited me. So the internship became more exciting because of all that background stuff.
Can you tell us a
So,
little bit more about your delivery career, your how it was
mhm.
working for that company?
I mean, how did you reach there with your final placements during the COVID second year, and how did you reach delivery?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so post the internship, I was actually given a PPO. So I had a PPO in mind, but okay, I had to accept it again. college rules. If you're denying a PPO, you cannot sit for, like, there are certain rules on how many applications you could do for a lateral placement. With 3 years of experience, I was eligible for a lateral placement.
Yeah, how difficult was it to get out of the PPO, and were you able to sit for placements and all that? And the reason I'm asking is I had a PPO and it had a conditional offer, which was we'll take you as long as you opt out of placements.
Oh, yeah. Actually, we did have restrictions. So, with 3 years of experience, I was actually looking forward to my lateral placements. So we had lateral and final placements. So people with I think 1.5 or 2 years, but each year the experience bar might vary. Let's say, I mean, my year, I don't recollect much, but I think 1 point. People with 1.5 plus years of experience could sit for the laterals, and rest of the folks and freshers could sit for the final placements.
And do these happen parallelly? How do
Laterals happened before, it happened around December. Finals happen 1 or 2 months later after laterals happen. So that's how it used to be. So I was actually looking forward to this laterals, and the PPO came few months after my internship. So I was prepping myself for the laterals. So we do have these case competitions and stuff going on, right? Which is like a plus point on the resume during the MBA days. So I was very keen on these case competitions, trying to add more value to my resume to make it good enough to get a shortlist during the lateral placements. So I was in that particular part of the journey, and then this came as a surprise. Like, Cognizant finally decided to offer a PPO, and then I had this second thought: what do I do about it? I didn't expect this. I wanted to sit for laterals because Microsoft was my dream company, which was coming for laterals in IIM campus. So I spoke to the placement chair to see if something could be done about it. But then I came to know that in case I'm rejecting a PPO, there is a limit on the number of applications I could do for a lateral. For example, it was three, irrespective of whether I would get a shortlist or I am able to convert. So if I'm not able to convert, I won't be able to sit for the rest of the.
is that right? Wow, wow, that is like a very tight condition.
Yes, and with this particular clause in place, I had to go for my PPO because I didn't want to risk my job. So that's how I ended up taking PPO and then decided to chill for the rest of the MBA days on campus. So because of the
You could sit for the rest of the MBA interviews.
no, no. So I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't. Actually, I couldn't be part of the laterals or the final placement. I have to go with PPO. Like, I accepted the PPO, which implies I cannot apply for any other company which is coming to the campus.
Then I'm intrigued. Did you then join Cognizant? What happened then?
Okay, so post graduation, so when we graduated in 2021, again the second wave of COVID hit. So again, back at home, the company, like, I had like 1 to 2 months of break because Cognizant took their own time and my joining date was delayed. So I had this time when, because back then during MBA itself, I was keen on getting into a product manager role. Like, at some point later or in future, like, I wanted to get into that. That's how my mindset was. I used to interact with seniors working in this domain, going for the workshops, case studies related to product and stuff. So I started thinking, what do I do with this 2 months? This is not the place where I wanted to end up after my MBA. First, it was a business development analyst role. Second, life sciences. The project I did was interesting, but I back then I decided I don't want to end up in life sciences domain. It wasn't the sector I was looking forward to. So I had made my decision. So I thought I'll join. Let me see if I can uh, try other jobs. So the 2 months I had, I gave a lot of interviews. I tried with consulting interviews. I mean, that's where I got the first calls from. I also tried applying for the product manager roles, and but it didn't work out. Like when started trying like directly applying for these big companies like Microsoft without a PM experience, it never works. So I started to figure out seniors who had a uh, journey which I was looking forward to. For example, they ended up in a different job after MPA, and then they transitioned to product management. So I started to reach out to such seniors, like get their contacts, call them up, talk to them, and understand how they made that transition from a different role to a product manager. And also talk to seniors who were currently working as uh, PMs straight out of MBA, like trying to understand how things work, how can I actually make that transition, what do they do as a PM in their job. So I used to converse with a lot of seniors to get an idea of what is happening on the job. And yeah, each person had their own experience. Like some of them did have a PM internship, so that added value for them. And I was just exploring things, gave a couple of consulting interviews, and did convert them, but things didn't go as expected. So I again stick to Cognizant, offer itself. And while I was about to join, so uh, first I was directly applying for big companies, like in for PM roles at big companies. Then one thing I learned was it's hard to get into a PM role in big companies without the valid experience, like without the PM experience. So I thought of, okay, let me start trying startups. Why not just try applying for startups? Maybe it would be a good experience for me to give interviews if I'm getting a shortlist. So that's the second thought which came to my mind. And while I think I joined Cognizant, it was the training phase, the first 1 month. I applied for startup, I got the call within a week, 3 rounds of interviews happened, got converted, and it was a PM role. So I was like, okay, it was actually Series C startup when I actually applied for it, and I went for it. It actually provides a corporate travel management and expense management platform. I joined the travel management platform team. Like there were PMs for each part of the platform. I was focused on the travel management journey. So yeah, I was so keen on getting into a PM role, and that's how I ended up in a startup as an associate product manager. So within 1 month, I left Cognizant and joined Italite. Like I did have, yeah, I had to stay for like 2 months or so, and then joined Italite, and that was my first product manager journey. Like I actually get to do things which I have just heard of and experienced in workshops and case studies. On the job, the experience was amazing. Like I was so much looking forward to it, and the experience was. It will always be different from what you actually expect. The reality is different. But first time, the first product got like first feature got launched. Like after joining Italite, I did build and launch a feature, and when I got the customer feedback on it, that was the moment for me which I still recollect. Like as a PM, you get to hear about the benefits that you offer for the user. It could be internal users, external users, but the way they said, okay, this feature has saved 15 minutes of my life. So that itself is a value addition. So when I got to hear that direct feedback from the user, I was really, really glad. And that's one of the moments I still remember of being a peer, because those moments still happen. But the first time you get to hear that special.
So, Nafia, if you were to now dial back to 4 years ago, would you have accepted that? I mean, there were a lot of uncertainties which you didn't know, but would you have accepted the PPO and not sat for placements?
Not accepted the PPO and not sat for placements.
If you didn't take the PPO because you were barred from placements?
If I, yeah, that's right. No, no. Okay. I actually wanted to ensure that I never wanted to take that very risky path where I had zero options. I took the PPO because I had a backup option. I could try, and I wasn't even sure that I'll crack into a PM role within that 2 months. I was thinking maybe I'll stay with Cognizant for a year or later and eventually figure out a path. from a analyst role into a product manager. That was my thought. I never thought I'll get such a break so fast or so early in career. So that just happened because I was so keen on it. The 2 months, instead of just taking break and chilling at home, I was keen on applying for it, reaching out to seniors to get their insights from what worked for them, what did not work, what might work for me. As I right now, I would say each person had their own journey. Things that worked for them wasn't what worked for me. I had my own personal journey, but yeah, things just fell in place. That's how I would
Right,
put it.
right. So you joined Itilite and you were happy, you were getting a good PM responsibilities. What happened next? Talk us through the last 3 years from there to where you are today.
Microsoft has always been a dream company for me. I might have mentioned this a couple of times before as well. The thing is, okay, the first time not the first time, the first workshop which happened on my campus was conducted by the Microsoft people on what product management is. That's the first time I've heard of it. I have Googled it. I have heard of it before I joined MPA, but during MPA, that's the first workshop. And the way it was conducted and the way they explained how as a product manager, how they are doing things, it just fascinated me. So always, I ensure that I have a goal in mind. So
Tell me, Nafia.
for me,
Now, here's the devil's
yeah.
advocate here coming out is you said you Googled
Mhm.
Microsoft. I mean, if it was such a desirable company, why not join Google? Because you're Googling Microsoft. Might as well. You didn't Bing Microsoft, did you?
I didn't Google Microsoft. Microsoft was the company which came to our campus for product manager role. The other companies, we had very few. So if you look at the placement list, there are very few product manager roles being offered.
Okay,
And Microsoft was a consistent name throughout the
right.
years. So that was the key reason. Google, I believe, doesn't really visit IMK campus. I know Google do have a very good product manager role, but yeah, getting there, I mean, why Microsoft? Because that was the option we had on campus. That's all. We always hear about, okay, Microsoft is coming for this placement.
Hmm.
So that's how it got ingrained in my memory. And I was like, I was looking forward to the placements, like Microsoft placement on campus, which I couldn't sit for.
Right, right. So,
So,
but then how did you reach Microsoft? Did you directly come from Itilite or did you take a, you did take a bit of a step between Itilite and Microsoft, right?
yeah, I would say it was a gradual journey. Right now, yes, I got into Microsoft, but it was a very gradual journey. 1 year I spent with Italite. Again, startup culture was the first time experience for me, apart from being a first time PM. So I did have a lot of experience. When you work with a startup, you don't have a boundary. You get to do a lot of things. So those things used to happen. You get to I mean, there's a lot of chaos as well when it comes to a startup ecosystem. So, a very good exposure. Actually, startup working in Italite helped me ramp up a lot. Like within 1 year, I would say I had a lot of learnings. Again, personal opinion. Like within 1 year, I got so a lot of learnings that I always look forward to something higher. For example, while working at Itlight, I always had this mind that at some point I want to work at Microsoft as a PM and say how things work there. So that was there. So I got a actually HR call from Delhivery, saying like, "Are you looking out for opportunities?" And I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll give it a try because I know Delhivery. It's a different domain. That's first. Second, a bigger at that point, a little more established, a bigger organization." So I gave the interviews, got converted, and that's how I moved to delivery. So I stayed with delivery for like 1.5 years. Again, I never stopped trying out outside. So
But was it still, where were you based in delivery?
it was Bangalore. So I was working out of the Bangalore
Because from the
office.
name, it seems like a Delhi based company. Is that right?
It is. It is. So we have actually delivery has an office in MG Road, Bangalore. So I was based out of that. Yeah, luckily the team in Bangalore had an opening, and I gave the interviews, converted, and I joined the office. Stayed with delivery for like 1.5 years, and that's when, like, post 1 year, again I started looking out. Like, I just kept my options open. Like, I wasn't like I had to switch kind of a situation. I was just applying like I used to. I never stopped applying. Which the journey which started from college, I never stopped. I just kept seeing these interviews, being always prepared for giving interviews and stuff.
So right from
And
college, you've
then
been just checking out where is the Microsoft opening. Let me just keep applying till you reach there.
I used to keep track of it. That's true. Not just Microsoft, I did try a couple of other companies
So
as
how
well,
did you get in
including
Microsoft?
Google. So I did apply like in the last like 2.5 years of journey, 1 year with Hitlight and 1.5 with delivery. I used to apply, and this kind of like I directly applied. It wasn't a referral, a direct application, and I got a call. And then excuse me, and then the interview process happened, and finally converted, and here I am. So yeah, persistence worked for me kind of.
How is the Microsoft interview process for product manager roles? How many interview rounds? Is it online? Do you have to go in person? How does that work out?
The interview is completely virtual. I had like 5 rounds. Each round actually looks at different skills of a PM. Like, first round being they look at the basic skills, the problem solving, the product thinking, and in the second rounds they'll go into, like, each round will evaluate on one or two of these skills, and they'll ensure that they cover all these skills when you actually cover that kind of 4 rounds. And the final round is like mostly on the culture fit and are you right for the team kind of, rather than your hard skills and soft skills being evaluated.
So what are the skills that they are evaluating in the first 4 rounds? What are the skills for a product manager?
So, in my personal experience, any product manager interview actually looks for these. These are the skills which any interviewer would look for. First one is the problem solving. How good are you at solving a problem? So, if you're given a problem, are you just jumping directly into the solution, or are you trying to actually evaluate the problem, break it down into the granular point, and then figure out what should you actually solve for? So that's the problem solving. Then you have the product thinking. Again, that starts with problem, but then you have to go into the next steps, which is, once you look at the problem, now you have to look at the user standpoint. Which user are you targeting and why? What is their user journey? Then you come into the solutioning. So product thinking is second. Then the soft skills include communication. Like, how well are you able to express yourself? Not just express, actually communicate the story. Like, are you really able to justify what you're doing, how you have done, and are you also accepted of your, like, mistakes? If you see that, okay, the interview has a different intake, are you, like, it depends on situation. Sometimes it's okay to say that no, it doesn't work in this, in our scenario. Sometimes yes, they do bring in a good point. So those sort of soft skills get evaluated. And yeah, uh, right now this is all I could recollect from the interviews. But most of the interviews, it's the same thing. Like, it's not like one interview is just on problem solving versus another on product thinking. This role being a generalist one, it's up to the interviewer which skill they will try to focus on.
Nafia, you've given so many applications for product management over the years, and that's been your core goal to get into your dream job where you are right now. Tell me, what's the toughest question that you had so far? And you don't need to name the company or the people unless you want to. Toughest question which you were perplexed.
Um, Okay, I think the one I can recollect right now, which is something, okay, a recent one maybe. Uh, so the thing about interviews is, often we are humans, we do make some mistakes, and we think like, okay, we shouldn't have said this in the said as an answer to the previous question. It could have taken a different take. We realize during the interview process itself. So the same thing happened for me, and maybe giving more interviews helped me tackle such a situation that when I was asked, what is your something on a similar lines like favorite technology, I just went on to I mentioned a technology which I wasn't so much familiar about. I have heard of it. I could have gone with a much more comfortable domain, but I ended up talking about a technology which I'm not really aware of or have never worked on. So after 5 minutes of it, 5 minutes of discussion, I felt I shouldn't have done this. Why did I even say this? I could have chosen a different sector, which was very easy for anyone to understand. But then the reason being, when the conversation went to such a juncture that I thought, okay, maybe maybe because I don't understand the domain, my the way I was thinking, the way I was structuring my answer, thinking about the problem was wrong. I understood it myself. Then I accepted my mistake, saying maybe no, this is not how it works, and asked the interviewer that, okay, let me take another chance, stab at it. And then I took it to a different angle where I reached a point where I was very comfortable. I started putting in insights from my experience, and then interviewer was like, okay, this sounds interesting, let's discuss. So the initial 30 minutes or 20 or 30 minutes of that interview, I don't know what was the take for the interviewer, but personally for me, I felt like I shouldn't have done that. But then it went the right way and I could actually convert that. So things happen, mistakes happen, but it's okay to correct.
I think that is a that is great learning for all our viewers, and even for me, is to not try to. If an interviewer gives you a choice, why go into an area of discomfort? To go to your best area and then show them what you are worth. Number one, as I took away. But number two, which is even better, is once you realize at whatever point in your interview that, you know what, I'm down the wrong path, is to correct path and have the guts to say, you know what, let's go on this. I know that better. If you get the choice, and it's not always that people give you that chance in an interview. Sometimes you lose it at that point. But if you get the chance to have the guts to do it. And then the third thing, and that's for me, Nafia, that's the biggest takeaway from what you said, is what are these people looking for? If they are looking for someone who knows X, Y, and Z, and it could be product management, it could be something else, but the same learning applies everywhere, is to understand what they're looking for and then prepare really hard for it. And then sometimes the interview will not go your way, and all that, your points one and two. But that preparation, which you've been doing for so many years over the time, ever since your engineering, uh, I think I'm I'm very glad that you've brought these points up and you've reached where you are right now. Which is so Nafia, what are you doing now? So now that you've been in Microsoft, your dream job, your dream company, what do you do right now in Microsoft as a PM? Are there levels in PM like one, two, three, four, five, six, and infinity, or is it PM as PM as PM?
So at Microsoft, it starts with Product Manager 1. Right now, I'm Product Manager 2. Again, Product Manager 2 has two different levels, like level 61 and 62. Then you become a Senior Product Manager, which has like two, three levels within it. So there are multiple levels. After Senior PM, you become a Principal PM, and then it goes on. So that's how the career ladder looks like. Right.
You mentioned 61, 62. Just that curiosity in me is, are you a higher level with a higher number, or are you a higher level with a lower number?
The lower number.
Okay. So 61 is a higher level than 62.
No, no, sorry. 62 is the higher one. Sorry, I got your question wrong. Right now I'm at
Right.
61.
Yeah. Because I worked in a company where your management bands were like, eight is a lower management band than seven, and seven is lower than five, and five is lower, and basically the senior management, like your board members, are level one.
No, no, this is the other way. With increase in number, you're at the higher level.
Right. Right. So does that mean then that product manager is has 60 plus levels above them
Six.
in Microsoft?
Actually, right now I'm at 61, so it starts with 58 or 59. So if you're joining as a PM1 with Microsoft,
Hmm.
I believe it should be 58 or 59. So PM1 will have, I think it's 58. I'm not 100% sure, so that's why I'm just keeping it 57, 50. So right now 61. So I think 59 and 60 is PM1, 61 and
Hmm.
62 is PM2, and then it is SPM, which has three levels. So as you go up, the number of levels within that band increases.
But where do you max out at product management? Where is like the head of all global Microsoft products? What level is that person? Is it like level 3? Is it like level 40?
I really don't know right now.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. It was like just the
In a
curiosity
big
in me. Is like,
organization like
and who's
Microsoft,
level
yeah,
level 100? Is that is Satya Nadella level 100, or is that Bill Gates is 101, or who is it?
I
Where does the numbering go to?
I really don't know about that. But I don't think it reached 100. It should be less than 100, but could be anything. I don't know.
I mean, the reason I asked, like I said, I worked in a company where and it was very difficult to, for a few years, for us to imagine. That was lower management band means you're senior, and so on. And so, I mean, I remember once I got promoted from, and and in my promotion letter it came, now you're management band 5 from 6. Apart from the fact I didn't know I was at 6 level, uh, which tells a lot about me that I didn't care much about those levels. I was like, 6 से 5 कर दिया है, डिमोशन हो गई. That
Yeah,
kind of a thing. It took me some time to adjust, but I realize the beauty of that situation is I know that no one can be above number one, right? What will you do? Like -1, -5. So you know where is that ceiling?
yeah,
The final ceiling is number one.
that's true. That's true. Right now, I really don't know. And I was like, yeah, good question.
Yeah. Good stuff. So what are you doing at Microsoft right now, and where do you plan to go in the next, I won't say future, I'll just say next 2 to 3 years, because beyond that, I personally feel no one has seen a crystal ball.
That's true. I mean, I always had plans for the immediate future. After reaching Microsoft right now, I'm just keeping it like an open mind to learn a lot of stuff. The reason being, the main difference working in a startup, you churn out features in a very short time. Like within 1 month of joining a startup, like an organization like Italite or Delivery, you are able to churn out a feature and see the benefits of it. But in a big company like Microsoft, the scale at which the product is being built, the scale of users is so huge that it has like 1 year, like the current product I'm working on has a 1 year timeline to actually see some end user benefit and say that, okay, when you see, so it's a personal take. When I see that, okay, the end user is getting some benefit of it, that's why I feel like, okay, as a PM, I have achieved something. Now I have to improve and get more good results for the end user. So it takes time because of the scale, and
1 year. Typically, would 1 year be a typical time from conception to
it's
implementation?
actually more than 1 year. From conception, if we talk about requirement analysis, it's a long journey. Right now, from
But tell me, Nafia, in today's technology and the way things are changing every few months, isn't 1 year an obsolescence?
Right. Okay. Right now the product I'm working on is something which is being built from scratch. So when you build something from scratch, and again it's a B2B product, a huge scale for a huge clients, like huge corporations are going to use this. So there it should be almost near to perfect. We cannot have flaws or mistakes, and hence
Agreed.
that's why I don't think the established, like stable products will need 1 year to churn out features, but something I really got a luck, like I got lucky with this that this product is something which we are building from scratch.
Tell me, Nafia, in today's technology and the way things are changing every few months, isn't 1 year and obsolescence.
Keeping it, my future plan is like near future plan is to get this product out into the market and see how good feedback we could gather, and then iterate and make the product much better. So that's
And Nafia, I'm not going to ask you what that product is because obviously I won't. Um, is but are you able to give us a sense of which direction that B2B product is in? Because just for me to understand, because Microsoft does everything right from Windows to all these server things. What's I don't know what the Microsoft server is called, the AWS counterpart, like Google
Azure,
Cloud, GCP, AWS. What's
Azure.
Azure? Yeah. So yeah, Azure. So yeah. So is it in that end of the spectrum, or is it in the? It's definitely not in the consumer end, which is the Windows and what's it called? I got stuck after 95. It's Windows 12 right now or 11.
Oh, sorry. Right now, I don't have an answer to that. My bad.
Yeah.
I just
I mean,
lost track of it.
I mean, I don't need to understand what number it is because it'll update on its own, doesn't it? I mean, there was a time we had to buy CDs and then update the computer or whatever. And now it's like there's an automatic update. I don't know what my computer is on, but it's like some of the recent form of Windows. So I'm assuming you're not on the Windows part of the journey and you're not on the Azure part of the journey. But just give me a sense of which part of product management are you doing right now? Your 1 year product.
I'm actually on the Azure product. So,
Oh,
yeah, I'm actually
okay.
part
So
of the Azure.
so big Azure. How big is Azure in Microsoft? Is it like 50% now, or is it less than that?
Okay, I have to get my facts correct now. Okay.
No, is it like the biggest part of Microsoft? Because 50% is biggest
It's
part, right?
actually growing by a tremendous number by year. Like year on, it's growing tremendously. So we have a lot of
Yeah.
focus, like from a Microsoft company perspective, a lot of focus is there on growing Azure. So Azure itself is a huge team, and we are just one part of it. So to
Hmm.
be, narrowing it down, it's actually Azure Edge team. So that's what I'm part of, and
What's that? Sorry, Azure what?
edge. So edge is something like okay, just giving you a gist of
Edge. Okay.
edge. Yeah, giving you a gist of what are the products that we build, or the what is the area looks for is like a hybrid situation. You can have things. Cloud is something which helps give you a central control. You can manage anything from anywhere, and there could be, like, if you look at the big corporations, they still have the edge ones, like things happening locally. There are systems just working locally. You have to be in the uh, you know you have to be there present locally to take control of it. So the connotation or the terminology is hybrid. You need to have cloud, you need to have cloud control, and you need to have edge control, because we cannot take move everything from edge to cloud, because corporations have been there for years, and in a day they cannot transform from edge to everything to
And
cloud.
are you focusing on a particular sector, like financial sector, like your original company, or are you focusing on generally for everyone?
Right now, we are trying to build a product which will span multiple sectors. So I'm hoping in the next 6 months we might have some public announcements on the new product launch, hopefully. And then, yeah,
Okay.
then we'll be able to talk more about it, what exactly we are solving for. But
Well, I'm sure some of our viewers who've reached this far is are going to keep up to date. So we will put any update on whenever Nafia your product is launched. We'll put it for people who have liked this video. So I don't know how the new age YouTube uh, podcast do it, but yeah, yeah. Please like and subscribe to this video. I'll take this opportunity to do it. So Nafia, just moving on, and we've taken your journey right from growing up in Trivandrum or Thiruvananthapuram as the longer version, and right down to being in Bangalore, working in Microsoft, working on one of their under wraps big ticket Azure B2B products. What's next? Apart from Microsoft, you don't have to say it aloud, but you've been applying for the good part of the last 7 years. So are you still applying? You don't have to answer that aloud here.
Not really. The current goal I'm focusing on is this product. Yeah, I mean, in Microsoft, there have been a lot of experience. Like, I get to work with people with 20 plus years of experience, 10 to 20 plus years of experience. So, in startup, the difference is you get to work with younger folks. They do bring in a lot of perspective, but that's kind of a different vibe altogether. Here, you
Are you talking about that you get to work with younger folks?
yes, as in, I'm just
Because that's what I say. Because that's what I say. I get to work with younger folks in
okay, I would
technology.
say, okay, the peer community is kind of same age or sometimes pressures. Like, I feel I'm old enough in while working in a startup. That's what the vibe I got. But in Microsoft, there are people with a huge experience. They have worked across companies or across sectors. They have seen a lot of changes. So the perspectives they bring in is kind of different. So that's what I'm currently learning from. So right now, it's just trying to stay here. Mhm. I really don't know what's my next plan is. Right now, I don't have any plan. As I was saying, for the last 4 to 5 years, the one goal has been can I, like, how do I get into Microsoft was one of the goal I had. I mean, apart from being a better PM, learning and stuff. So that has been done. Now I'm at Microsoft. Now I'm just figuring out.
I think that's great because for the last 3 to 5 years, your goal was to reach Microsoft, which you have, and now, as I understand, your goal is to grow within Microsoft, which you are doing with your new product and PM 1, 2, 3, 4 till whatever level that number goes, and then probably that will be a few more years, and then you can take stock of the situation. A lot of that probably, as my experience and everyone I've seen in the last 25 years, goes with family life. So where are you in your family journey? Did you decide that both on my professional and personal life, this is how they will converge, or have there been like divergences there?
To be honest, I was more focused on my professional career. Never really, I mean, personal life does happen, but then didn't really go have goals over there. I mean, professionally saying, I do have a lot of goals and things, but personally, it's an open, uh, it's an open question, kind of. So, I got married, like it's kind of like 1 year now. So again, parental pressure, we have to society stuff, we have to get married within this age. Still, I tried my best to push it as hard as as late as possible. So that's done.
So I'm reading into that it was an arranged marriage.
Oh no, it wasn't.
Okay. So unless you want to share anything, I won't get more into that.
Okay, my
If your parents are watching this channel, maybe it was presented to them as an arranged marriage. I don't know. Things happen.
not really. So yeah, I chose my partner. Yeah, they know that. So he's a product designer. So since he is also working on the product side of things, I do get to share a lot of professional things with him. Like, product designer is kind of counterpart in the in my work. So getting different perspectives as a designer from him, and also sharing my perspective as a PM. So we are just trying helping out each other in our professional career.
So you're in Azure. Don't tell me he's in GCP or AWS.
No, he is.
That would have been really a compete,
He
right?
is actually in the same domain. Yeah. So
Okay. Okay, we won't get too much into that
okay.
because it can always get uncomfortable, and I know that I have for the last many years, um, with with my wife, we've been in situations where we are in the same domain and doing the same type of M&A deals and so on. So we just try to retain that distance. It's not always very comfortable,
Okay.
and
Yeah, but he did motivate me. So I so if you look at my professional journey, I have been switching between sectors like fintech, travel, logistics. Even when I joined Delhivery, logistics was I would say, a challenge. I mean, people can get over it, but then initially that was a question: how it's a little bit complicated. How do I really understand this? How do I tackle the challenges in logistics? And post logistics, when Azure came into the picture, I was clueless. I was literally clueless of how would I be like. I know I was more focused on the user experience part. Like as an end user, a travel domain is something which you can relate to. Logistics, yes, it became a little bit tougher, but then yes, I could manage. So I had this question of, is cloud really a thing? Will I be able to survive in it? That was the first question. Since he is working in the same domain, he was the one who motivated saying cloud is the future or it is the present. It's if you're working as a PM in the cloud sector, that is actually adding a lot of value for you. If you know the domain, you're irreplaceable in a sector like cloud rather than in a travel or a retail sector where anyone could pick up the domain very easily. So he was one of the person who motivated me towards my goal as well. Like yeah, Microsoft was in the mind, but I was never picky about the sector. So Azure came as a surprise. Initial 1 month, I had my struggle because new domain, had to keep up with the technical stuff going around in Microsoft. But then again, I got used to the pace of it, and I'm still in the learning phase.
Very nice, very nice. I think that's a very healthy, positive collaboration, even with some sticky competing points that might come up at some in your stage, and they always do, because you might, who knows, right now it's not like a direct competition, but your next job or your next role within Microsoft could be like a direct competition, and then it has to be kept even more under wraps. Who knows? But that's life. That's life now. And thank you so much for sharing all this. I'll ask you one last question: Is what next for Nafia? Professional, personal, anything? What's next? What are you looking forward to in 2025 and in the next 5 years?
2025, two things. I mean, each journey as a PM was a learning experience. I will always have something in mind that okay, this is where what I want to improve. Maybe a skill, maybe something, a new skill which I want to inculcate or improve upon what I am already have or I'm lacking something. So again, there are certain things which I have to improve on. So every time it's like a feedback loop. You figure out you're good at something, you need to improve at something, and you reach a point where you say that okay, you have improved, you have put in your effort, and you have reached that goal. And second thing which I'm looking forward in 2025 is the launch of my product. Yeah, so that's the key one. And the next future years, to be honest, right now I don't really have a plan per se. Yes, I was always a person with a plan. But right now, 2025 is giving me a new challenge. I have zero plans. Let me keep it open for the life to surprise me.
Lovely, lovely. And on that note, Nafia, thank you so much for coming at on IMK Baad. As you know, we share stories of people like you who are successfully reached IIM and then have a successful career, whether it's a 2, 3, 4 year career after IIM, and in occasionally we've had guests which are like 30 years after IIM, and we span across IIMs, we span across the years and the alumni groups, and we try to do that as best as we can. But I have to say this, um, and if I don't, तो घर पे मार पड़ेगी definitely. My wife's from Kozhikode. It is the most beautiful campus. It was the most beautiful campus until I saw it, because the most beautiful campus until then, which is 20 years ago, was IIM Bangalore, which I still think is lovely. But Kozhikode beat that, and I say that from the bottom of my heart. But I'm also sure that with all these new IIMs coming and the new campuses that are building, I think they will surpass, because what else? if you can't surpass the previous IIM, then why are you even building a new one? That's my philosophy, and I'm sure the way IIMs have dealt with that, uh, every new IIM is better than the previous one. So thank you so much once again, and yeah, look forward to your new product, which we will post whenever it is released on at the bottom on the comment section, just so people who have viewed this get an update and they are able to click on it. uh, Thank you again, Nafia.
Thanks a lot for this opportunity.